Welcome to another episode of Constellation TV. We come here to you every 2 weeks with the hottest info on enterprise technology. I'm Esteban Kolsky, Chief Distiller and Board Advisor on Constellation Research, and I am your host for episode 134. We have an outstanding show for you today to help you process the fast-paced world of technology, including the hottest and latest insights on enterprise technology. In this show, we'll start with predictions for the second half of the year. 2026 has been an outstanding year so far, very interesting developments, but how is the second half shaping up? Well, Liz, Larry, and Martin will debate that. Then, Larry has a bone to pick with the We Must Act Now group. Their open letter calling on the government to do something is no more than a bunch of eggheads sounding the horn on AI job displacement that amounts to not much. He tells us what he thinks. After that, Holger is starting a series showing us how SAP can support your AI projects. He has a benchmark report contrasting using Joule Studio versus DEI for 3 very prominent AI agent use cases. 1, creating an agent, 2, adding a skill, and 3, creating a full-scale backend application. This is part 1 of that report. And finally, I have a 2-minute segment telling you what the board's report for the month of July says on the future of enterprise technology. I am starting with AI. 96% of companies adopted AI. 74% of companies are doing agentic AI. But what comes after that? I have some ideas. Let's get into the show.
We are back with another great debate. I am very happy to be here with you, gentlemen. Larry, Martin, we're going to get into it. The great debate on CRTV. What is happening in H2? If you look in the crystal ball, H1 done, in the bag, thank goodness. H2, what is in store? Larry, you go first.
It's going to be a shit show. I expect a whole bunch of AI screw-ups on tap. We're starting to hear it bubble up with governance and all this kind of stuff. And AI is just not mature enough in the enterprise. So I expect everybody to get serious towards the end of 2026 because there's going to be a screw up that's going to be embarrassing. And then everybody's going to be on the governance bandwagon and will probably go to the total opposite side of innovation and go governance crazy.
Do you think it's going to be a headline screw up that feels really bad, or is it going to be like a legit screw up? Because we've seen things like Ford come out and say, listen, oops, we trained an AI on how to build all of our cars, but we didn't train it on any level of supply chain operations, what framework to use. So all the different AIs picked its own framework and its own religion, and there it went, and we couldn't build a car. So that was kind of an egg on your face moment, but it's going to turn out that they can then turn that into this great case study of how we learned from that mistake, and now we're building all our cars.
I think we're going to get a little both. A big headline thing would not surprise me at all. But I think it will be remember those, well, they still happen, those botched ERP implementations where somebody misses like 2 quarters because they screwed up. Well, they screwed up, the vendor screwed up, the consultant screwed up. They all point at each other. It's like that Spider-Man meme. But we'll probably get both. But I do think there'll be enough agentic AI screw-ups to where people are going to get on the governance bandwagon by the end of the year.
Okay. But do you also then see that opening up the doors for actual real implementations by 2027? Because what we keep hearing from CIOs is that it's the lack of willingness to have that real governance conversation that's holding a lot of these POCs from moving into production.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the governance part, there's the process part. I think we'll get a wake-up call, which will lead to a bunch of good stuff in the year ahead.
Nice. Martin, what are you seeing in H2?
Yeah, I think similar, but I do want to take a different tack. This is a debate, right? While we are going to have screw-ups, we're going to have these things, what we are seeing is more and more of this kind of FinOps approach to AI, where we're trying to make some order of the chaos. Right now, it's like if you were running your business from a power perspective with like the utility, some solar power, and still pouring gas in a generator, right? We're incredibly inefficient. Data's all over the place. The governance that Larry's talking about, let's take a different approach. It's not really about the data and the security and all that I think people are going to care about. It is the financial side of it. It's the efficiency, effectiveness, and cost, and potential or lack of ROI. So I think we're going to see more and more of both the vendors and the users coming together to create governance in the form of financial operations that both rationalize and rectify and get things together. Because right now, everybody's bringing their own clause and agents and things like that. And there are corporate mandates, and they're kind of not canceling each other out, but they're creating a ton of inefficiency and a ton of wasted money. So I'm really curious to see where the kind of FinOps control layer comes in the form of governance by the end of the year.
Is FinOps going to be the answer? So I'm gonna push on that a little bit because I want to get your thoughts on this. With FinOps, a lot of people will argue that what we see today as automated FinOps or kind of those FinOps platforms, things that are trying to guide people through that, is really taking technology and new technology and applying it to old process of financial ledger management and things like that. So is that really what's going to get us through on what really matters, especially from where you're coming at this from on the RevOps side, where we've really got to focus in on, because if we want to talk about where a disaster could really happen with kind of blindly throwing things over to AI, it's going to be in the management of our revenue. So do we actually need to start rethinking FinOps and that framework first and then applying it? Or are we just going to end up with more old things running faster?
That's a good question. And I think the answer is, you've kind of implied it, right? We need to rethink FinOps for AI consumption. And that means that we need to create new models, we have to create new metrics, we have to create essentially a whole new kind of methodology. The great thing is that we can model these things. We can, with plain English and prompts, start to do this. So it's not Herculean tasks we're talking about. It's pointing these tools in a way that actually puts some rationality, puts some pragmatism into this to understand who is utilizing the AI in what ways, how is that running against what all human processes would have been, what hybrid processes and all AI processes are, and figuring out where the cost savings are there, where they're not, and really starting to get to a realistic approach to how the enterprise deploys AI. And when you look at it from a RevOps perspective, it's not just cost of sale, it's not just speed of close. There is a customer satisfaction. There's all these interesting angles that you can put into play in the models that actually come out and bring some really kind of fascinating results to really start to understand where AI helps, where humans should and should not be or need to be in the loop, and then some of the other governance angles that you can bring to it as well, that kind of Larry's
I'm going to beg everyone right now, please do not put customer satisfaction scores as part of that. Please, for the love of God, do not use customer satisfaction scores, because the old tenet still holds true that only 20% of your most happy customers take any of those surveys. So You're really just finding out the supremely happy or the supremely pissed. You're not actually getting that voice of customer. That's a whole different conversation.
Right. Yeah. I'd say customer health data is different than CSAT scoring.
Yeah.
And that's where you bring it together is on the customer health that you're gathering through multiple systems.
But it also sounds like you're trying to tell Larry that token maxing is not a thing and that tokenomics is going to be removed from this conversation. And he's going to be really upset about that because he loves those topics.
Well, he loves to trash them, and rightly so. But I think that's the point, right? We're realizing
you got to bring some rigor.
Token maxing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And tokenomics, in tokenomics' sense, doesn't do it, right? That's a very incomplete way of going about it.
Well, I mean, clearly the adults need to enter the room. I certainly think FinOps is a very interesting way to look at that. I would say for me in H2, I think that folks, especially in service and marketing, we might be maybe a quarter or two ahead in the apocalyptic rise of AI and all the things that are happening, because this is really where conversational AI and a lot of the AI applications really started and were very quick to be adopted by a lot of leading organizations. The contact center has had AI and a lot of even generative AI working for some time now. We're starting to see this very interesting anomaly that everyone said wasn't going to happen. which was AI was supposed to stop customers from calling, wasting our time, gobbling up our budget. But what's actually happening is when you add self-service and customers can get rid of all of those mundane little questions that they used to have to sit on the phone for 15 minutes to try to figure out, they're getting those done. They're getting them done in the middle of the night. So when they do call, they're talking for longer. They're solving more complex problems. And that complexity is really going to have to be tackled in H2. And that complexity is going to bring about a different rigor. So I totally agree with you, Martin. We are going to need a different level of rigor. I tend to look at this, though, from the project side. And I tend to look at this as from a project management motion. So are we going to see project managers start to become a critical motion in AI ops? When we're really talking about operationalizing AI across the organization, we're acting like there isn't a framework, there isn't a function, there isn't a person within your organization right now that is managing the heck out of complexity. And they're doing it because they're a project manager. So now all of a sudden, instead of the project manager maybe seeing one or two off things, maybe seeing something through to completion, I'm really seeing the rise of this project manager vocation and that rigor and that skill set entering the AI ops field. So it wouldn't be surprising if we start to see project managers taking on AI rigor for the enterprise, pulling in the CIO, pulling in the CDO and the digital officers, but being, again, that control layer that can bring cross-functional alignment, because that's what true project managers do. And that's what a lot of project management platforms do. So the real question for me starts to be, how fast can these platforms start to pivot so that they are understanding that it is going to be all of these observability layers, all these control towers, all these kill switches. You got to run it like you're running a project, not like you're running an experiment. And that's a very different mindset. So I think if we can hit that in H2, we'll actually start to see some really interesting business outcomes in that H1 period of 2027. So I'm kind of looking for that. Anything that you guys are predicting is going to be kind of the next thing we start buzzing about? Because I think that everything from the SaaS apocalypse to token max, we've had these kind of quarter by quarter, they usually align with, revenue calls, and they usually align with quarterly earnings. We see some big topic and see some big ridiculous conversation pop up. What do you think is going to be the most ridiculous conversation we got to bat down in H2? Martin, what do you think it's going to be?
I mean, from a ridiculous will be
Let me think about it, Larry.
Yeah, the ridiculous is going to be outcome-based pricing models, because we're not ready for that. We don't have, just like you said, maturity in AI deployments from anybody is not there to actually draw straight lines, if even dotted lines, to outcomes in so many different ways across the customer lifecycle. So at least in the worlds where we live, Liz, we're not ready for outcome-based pricing. Consumption-based pricing, maybe, but outcome-based pricing is so nascent, and the people who are jumping into that are doing so at their own peril. So I think we're going to see some interesting, maybe missteps and false starts on that we're going to have to deal with as analysts. I think that's the big one.
Larry, what you got?
The most ridiculous thing we're going to see is there will be one hyperscaler who throttles back on AI spend. Just a smidge, because it's really a real estate bubble. And so AI infrastructure, the storyline that we'll see on CNBC and everywhere is that, AI infrastructure screwed, blah, blah, blah. So while that goes on, enterprises, the grown-ups in the room, will actually start seeing more returns on their AI projects. So you're going to have this basically what we have now is going to be flipped. So right now, there's not a lot of ROI, people fumbling around, there's not governance, it's, FinOps, what's that? A bunch of nonsense. Meanwhile, we're all talking about training the latest, greatest, LLM, and then basically cooking up a AI factory the size of a state. Or putting on the moon or some other nonsense.
It'll flip in space.
It's going to flip in the second half. And no one's going to see the actual returns because everybody's going to be watching a train wreck over here.
Over there. Yeah, I think that, certainly in the US, we've got midterm elections coming up in November. I think we're going to see the NIMBY bandwagon of, data centers are killing everybody. We're going to start to see that rise in probably series of bizarre regulatory propositions think we're going to try to have, everyone's going to try to figure out how to bandwagon or headline their way out of what has really become a case of people doing bad things in places they probably shouldn't because it's cheap to do so, and there is no one telling them no. But I think that whole NIMBY conversation is going to hit a fever pitch right before we hit those midterm elections, but we're going to have to figure out this data center stuff pretty quickly. But with that, pretty sure we're going over time here, guys. And I feel like we had the most civil debate that anyone could probably have with 3 Constellation people involved in it, but that's what we're going for, a kinder, gentler CRTV. But with that, end of the debate. See you guys later.
Hello everybody, it's Holger Mueller here from Constellation Research, welcoming you to a 3-part video series about enterprise application platforms in general, and more specifically the work we've done with Joule Studio in regards on how it helps enterprises to work more efficiently. So this is the first part of the 3 videos. If you want to look for the other parts, I'm sure our editors will have some links or other parts to make sure you don't miss part 2 and 3. So with no further ado, let me jump in right here and let's talk about what is an enterprise application platform. I jokingly call it often, it's the, if you like, the Peanuts comic, it's the comfort blanket of Linus, I believe it is, who always walks around with this comfort blanket. It's the comfort blanket of the enterprise application vendor, who knows that nothing will 100% run totally contained in their platform. And they're defined, EAPs in short, they're defined by 3 generic use cases. And these generic use cases are extend, or spill some of my beans, integrate. Extend, of course, is the oldest use case of anything in an enterprise application. You need to add more fields, change languages, change labels, whatever, menus. Extend is older than anybody watching this video will probably hear. Integrate is also close distant because nothing runs by itself, so integration has been one of the second generic use cases. And the third, but not least, and that is the more recent one, is build. And build means that customers can build their own automation on that EAP. The benefits are, of course, that you have access to all the data of the enterprise application. You have access to the look and feel, which is huge for your users, so you don't have a, as I call it, the fasten your seat user experience when they go to something you've built specifically. And it's super critical because right now we live in an era of experimentation for enterprise applications. We know not everything has been built, can be standard software, can be shipped by the independent software vendors. It has to be built by enterprises. And of course, the thing in 2026 that is on everybody's mind, let's mention it here for the first time, is of course agents. But let's look into what are the trends and what's important. So enterprise application platforms are pretty much table stakes. They are needed to be successful with any kind of enterprise software. And CIOs, CXOs know that you need to look for this, and the capability of an enterprise application platform significantly sets you up for failure or success. They have become de facto table stakes in 2026, and pretty much that trend has been there as a state since 2022. They deliver on AI automation. We'll delve on this in much more in part 2, but they're critical. Every ERP vendor, enterprise software vendor out there is using their EAP to deliver AI automation to their customers. May it be last year calling some LLMs, going to some AI, and of course it's 2026, building agents is done through the EAPs of the customer. The EAP, by the way, of SAP, just mentioned it, is of course Joule Studio and Sapphire in May 2026. The EAPs include the data foundation. That's the big benefit. Any third-party tool needs to integrate data, needs to understand the data, which can be a massive undertaking if you build something with third-party tool on top of a complex, well-established ERP system, needs to understand access rights, but that is given, all of this is given in an EAP. Use the same role-based access to get to data like other ways. They are powered, and they should be, in the 2 generic use cases of extend and integrate by AI, right? AI is changing everything in the step. It changes how you can extend. You want to be verbally saying, change the screen for me, change this label for me. You want to integrate and build an integration to this and this app and so on as an example. They are powered by AI as well. And build use case, creating code, is of course assisted and automated by AI. And there, the great thing about stealing any thunder in the second half of 2026 is intent-based development, where basically from a prompt you say what you want to build, and AI is generating the code for the build use case. And then, of course, the user enablement matters a lot, right? There's not enough developers in the world. We know this. There's not enough low-code, no-code developers in the world. You want to give business users the chance to build things by themselves. And this is why the bar for doing this has been raised even further with AI, making it a dialogue-based, conversational experience, or making it even better, intent-based development approach for the business user. They run with that modern applications. EAPs power next generation applications, things which run in the cloud, which use analytics, which use big data, if you still want to say this, or the new data platforms or data lakehouses. And they use, of course, AI. And they deliver what's the most important thing. And part of my research, that what makes enterprises move faster, become more agile, in short, accelerate, in short, practice enterprise acceleration. So these are the 6 trends. Here you have them. In the summary slide, one more time. And the most important thing, of course, is, as we're talking about, the EAPs are the conduit for AI, right? They are the ones which allow you to access AI from your enterprise application settings. And that is exactly what we're going to delve in a little more. If you have any questions, I mean, this is a video format, you can't raise the questions right away. Look for the report. There will be links for this too, how Joule Studio enables enterprise acceleration. It will be somewhere left, right, top, bottom, in the ticker, or wherever you will be able to download it. If you can't find it, here's my contact information. Reach out to me. I will help you to find that report. It's going to be all my pleasure. So this is Holger Mueller, concluding the first part of our 3-part video series about SAP's new offering and combined offering in the enterprise application platform category, which is Joule Studio. Thanks for watching.
My name is Esteban Kolsky. I'm the Chief Distiller and Board Advisor for Constellation Research. Every month, my research agents scan the internet, finding enterprise technology information, which I then distilled into insights that are published in a monthly board report. In this last month, we found that the conversation in organizations has shifted away from AI, whether we need to do it or not, or which one is the best model to use, but to how to create a controlled execution model for AI. And there are 5 actions you need to take to make that happen. First, you need to understand that technology spending is finally separating from general economic caution. It's not that we're not concerned about a potential recession or that we're not trying to overcome uncertainty, but we understand that to deliver long-term AI business value, we need to invest in data readiness, security, governance, private platforms, and infrastructure more than anything else. This ties with the second item, which is that public models can no longer create differentiating value. If you use context, you use privileged data, and you use accountability with judgment embedded in homegrown models, then you're going to be one of the smart organizations that are doing AI properly. Frontier models, they're becoming a small part of a wider strategy. Third, agentic AI, despite its 74% adoption, became an authority question. Agents, they need inventories, they need permissions, they need cost models, monitoring, but more important, they need a reversal path to know when and how to do anything, and also afterwards, when and why to undo what they did if they did it wrong. On top of that, cybersecurity is becoming the basis for execution governance for agents. Agents cannot scale without governance. In fourth place, enterprise AI requires an architectural balance between brains and brawn. Brawn, GPUs. Brains, CPUs. And when you mix that with storage, edge computer, observability, and policies, they make AI useful, secure, and valuable for the long run. And finally, talent becomes the hardest constraint for the enterprise. We need experienced people who can redesign work, govern ambiguity, and apply judgment after AI makes execution cheap. AI know-how is commoditized. Experienced operators are the key to the future of AI in the enterprise. What are you going to be watching out for the next month? Whether enterprises can connect AI spending to impactful change, or whether the issues that we mentioned of cost, governance, and talent keep widening the gap between adoption and value.
Hi, I'm Larry Dignan from Constellation Insights, and let's talk AI job displacement. This week in an open letter, economists and a bunch of other eggheads urged policymakers to understand and respond to AI job disruptions. Sounds good as far as it goes. This full text of this letter, which was all of 3 paragraphs, boil down to the following ideas. AI is going to be way more powerful in 10 years. It'll bring unprecedented transformation to the economy, which will have both good things and bad things to it. And policymakers and economists and tech leaders need to act now to understand the economics of transformative AI and build in incentives and guardrails and all these things. It's really academic, and let's get real. This letter got a lot of press, and I don't really understand why, honestly. It's got some big names on it, but really it boils down to a bunch of alarm ringing. And this alarm ringing will be interesting if the job displacement actually happens. If not, this is 3 paragraphs to cover your butt and to say, I told you so. And, I warned you that job displacement will come. The key words in this letter are could and may. There's no proof that this stuff's actually happening or AI will even live up to its hype. AI has been blamed for a bunch of layoffs. The reality is a lot of these companies were inefficient, overhired during COVID, and are using AI as an excuse to cut jobs. The final point, timing is everything here. We don't know whether this job displacement will happen in 4 weeks, 4 months, or 4 years. As a result, I'm not sure what you're exactly studying, or you're just vowing to understand the economics of something that hasn't happened yet. And economists tend to be backward-looking creatures, not forward-looking creatures. So bottom line, you can study this, highly recommend it, but the jury's out on what'll happen. Can you really build incentives, guardrails, and institutions to regulate something that hasn't even lived up to advanced billing just yet? We don't know if the job displacement's coming. And rest assured, we're humans, so we're probably not going to plan this out well to begin with.
And that's a wrap on episode 134 Constellation TV. Thank you very much for watching. Next time, Larry takes over as host with more insights into the world of enterprise technology. Until then, please follow us on LinkedIn at Constellation Research, follow us on X at ConstellationR. You can find us on YouTube on the Constellation Research channel, or you can visit constellationr.com for our latest research. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Did you just break your chair?
No, I'm trying to adjust
Where
the
did
things
you just
I lean
go?
forward like they told me to. Yeah,
Larry's just like gone. And let's be honest about something. Pissed off Larry is a funny Larry.
Yeah. They told me to have more energy though.
Saying.
I was like,
Just
I said, I just don't like video.
You're like, I am not your target.
I am not a video native.
I am not.
I yell
FYI,
at TikToks. They take too damn long.
This is
Like,
not going to
yeah.
be my revenue stream, so fuck off. Like,
Yeah. They also
Yes.
told me I have to be a little less East Coast.
Have you ever seen when Larry gets interviewed, or we're doing a segment with Larry and we're like, hey Larry, what do you think? I don't, it's stupid. Okay, cool, Larry. Thanks so much for just dropping that.
The last debate, I was like, Larry, what's your point of view? And he's like, I'm moderating. I don't have one. I was like, oh.
Yeah, you're not moderating this one. It's all 3 of us, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm at the MGM Grand and it sucks. And my 3 options are bed in the background, weird image of an astronaut floating by a disco ball, or these boring curtains. Given 4 shitty options, what are we recommending? They're like, definitely not the bed. They came up to do an interview. Larry does the interview. The interview goes, they're like, Hannah and Elle are like, it's probably going to be like 10 minutes. No, it's like an hour they're doing this interview. And I did not want to be like, hey guys, like come out of like the room being like, hey, I'm here. I'm just going to. So I went and hid in the bathroom. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be clanking around the bathroom. So I got in the bathtub. Fell asleep in the bathtub. They were still in the room.
I just have to remember the uncomfortable feeling of keeping my chin down, which hurts my neck.
Yeah.
And pushing my hips forward, which is also annoying.
Oh, mine was a lot of like, don't shake so violently when you're in agreement. No more veiled threats to the UN.
Please tell me they didn't actually use the word violently.
I think I used that word, but they didn't disagree. So
I love CRM. How do you feel?
Larry's gone. He's going to be done for this whole segment now because of these giggles. He's done.
Growth and innovation. Martin Schneider.
Oh my God.
So,
Larry,
calm
shut
the
up.
F down, dude.
He had
It's
such
He's
a
like,
pregnant.
dude.
He said, "Calm down," and then this pregnant pause that just invites laughter. We learned a lot in this pregame.
We've done a lot of really great things in this episode of CRTV. Esteban's gonna have so much to work with for bloopers. He doesn't have to do any fucking thing
I think
ever.
Hannah can just
none
run
of
this
this
whole
B-roll
blooper
is
thing.
usable.
Run with it, Larry. Fucking fix your face. Come on.